Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and today we have Pharmacist Talks with Pharmacist Ben, as it is Tuesday, after all. And one thing that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be picking up on that conversation about EFAs. So today is part 2, and today we are going to be talking about the essential truth and separating EFA fact from fiction. And I can't think of a better person to do that with us than Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. So Pharmacist Ben is a nutritional pharmacist from Colorado. He specializes in using nutritional supplements when other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs. He is a member of the Longevity Scientific Advisory Board. He's a health expert and a frequent guest on Coast to Coast with AM with George Norrie and many other programs, folks. He believes and knows that the body is a healing and regenerating system designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-by-moment basis. So listen in today as we learn how to take charge of your biochemistry through food and supplements rather than allowing toxic substance to take control. So, folks, hello and welcome to Daily with Doc. If you are here live with us, make sure that you have that chat turned on, and also make sure that you have pinned the Daily with Doc and Becca picture from the profile, a smile. Now, for those of you who are watching us on the live stream, you're missing out on that chat. So you are more than welcome to join us here live Monday through Friday, except for holidays, from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. That is 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, and 3 to 4 Eastern by going to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. Now, if you were invited by somebody specific, you want to make sure that you get back with them. They took the time and cared enough about you to share this program because they knew that there would be some value in it to help you in this journey of life and specifically on our health and wellness journey. So get back with them, whether you're watching a replay, whether you're here live, it does not matter. They are your person. For those of you who found this program on your own and don't have anybody that you are working with, we do have an amazing team of certified holistic health coaches available to take your call or answer your email. To take your call, 855-949-3377, and we do have 24-hour coverage, folks. Again, that's 855-949-3377. We also have email questions at dailywithdoc.com if you would like to send in your questions. So we do go through, and as time permits, we answer questions or take questions from those that are live here with us, for those that have commented out on the live stream, and from those emails that are written in at questions@dailywithdoc.com. So let's get on with today, and I am honored to be able to host and bring this program to you with the amazing Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Pharmacist Ben. Hello and welcome. Hey, Merry Christmas Eve, my friend.
Merry Christmas Eve to you. And thank you for all you've done for the last, well, for a long time, years, actually. And everybody should know that while Marilyn and Albert and Ruth Ellen, of course, Sportus Nutritionosius are all valuable, it's Rebecca Dukes who quarterbacks the team. We wouldn't be here without you. So big props to Becca Dukes. You don't get enough props. You deserve it. You deserve accolades for all the stuff you do every day. Oh my God. Not that, I know you have help, and I don't want to marginalize Ruth Ellen or Marilyn or Albert or Sportus, but or Coach Rod for that matter. But Becca, big props to you. Most valuable player, MVP. Appreciate it.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ben. I didn't expect that. You're gonna make me cry, so don't start. I'm just gonna let you keep on talking.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about essential fatty acids. And we talked about the omega-3s, there's 6s, there's 9s, there's 7s, there's 15s.
There's all kinds. Omega, as we said on the last call, simply refers to a chemical structure. It's kind of cool, actually. Chemistry is this intimidating thing for folks. And I remember, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I know we don't have a lot of time and I want to get to some questions. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I have a journalism degree, as you know, and I with my journalism degree, I bagged groceries and I landscaped and I put tar on roofs and I was a waiter and I couldn't make any money being a journalist, so I decided, I thought to myself, I was young and in my early 20s, 23 or 21 actually. And I thought, what could I want to do? And I always loved chemistry. I was the kid with the chemistry set. So I decided I was going to go to pharmacy school. But to go to pharmacy school, I had to study chemistry first, because in journalism, you don't study chemistry, but to get into pharmacy school, I had all those prerequisites. They were all chemistry. And I was like, how hard could it be? I was a smart guy. I like to read. I considered myself to be pretty intelligent. Go into Chem 101, first course of chemistry. And not so easy, but I studied really hard. I managed to get a B, I think I got. I was thrilled with a B. Then Chem 102, where you start doing math, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. It was the summertime, I was young, I was partying, I was trying to study at the pool, and that never works out. And somehow or another, because everybody was having a hard time with this course, the curve was really low, and I squeaked by with a D to get into pharmacy school. But now I'm concerned. I'm heading to pharmacy school, don't understand anything about chemistry. It's just this foreign subject to me. I somehow got into pharmacy school with a D. I go into organic chemistry, first chemistry course in pharmacy school. Oh my God, disaster, utter and complete disaster. Not only I was studying so hard, but I just didn't understand it. And I studied, and I would, every time we took a test, I would be the lowest score out of 100, 120 people in the class. I'm talking a 10 out of 100, or an 8 out of 100. Or like a 6 out of 100. I was at the bottom every time, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to go to pharmacy school. I'd moved to Colorado, and it was just depressing as all get out. And finally, I just had to drop the class because I couldn't continue. I was going to fail, and then I wouldn't get into pharmacy school. So I go to the teacher, I drop it. I was so depressed, never had to drop a course before, didn't know what I was going to do, but just put it out of my mind, didn't think about it. It was October. So I have to take organic again in January because I got to get into pharmacy school. So January, I go into the organic class. I sit in the classroom. The guy starts writing on the board, and boom, I understood chemistry. In those 2 months, when I didn't think about it, something clicked in my brain. And not only did I understand it, but it was easy for me in those 2 months. And what I discovered was chemistry is all magnets. If you understand magnets, you can understand chemistry. And so the nature of chemistry is how pluses and minuses go together, how magnets go together. If you can understand how the different parameters, all the different criteria and parameters are for magnets going together, you can understand chemistry. My point in telling the story is all the chemistry is about things going together. We call that a chemical bond. A chemical bond is, you've seen the lines in high school biology, C, line, C, and all these lines, right? Those are called chemical bonds. A chemical bond is a connection of energy. And what makes essential fatty acids so important is not only do they have chemical bonds, but in strategic places, they have two chemical bonds, double chemical bonds. Chemical bonds represent electrical energy. Double chemical bonds represent extra electrical energy. Omega, when we say omega-3, omega-6, omega-12, omega-15, omega this, omega that, we're simply talking about double bonds. Where you have excess energy. Without getting into too much chemistry, chemical structures have numbers. Each line represents a number. They call 1, 2, the 1 position. They'll say the 2 position, the 3 position. Omega-3s have a double bond in the 3 position. Omega-6s have a double bond in the 6 position. That's all that makes an omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-3 and omega-6. And there's lots of molecules with double bonds in these positions, but there's only two that are essential. So when you hear omega, people confuse the omega with the essential. And they'll say, are you taking your omegas? That doesn't mean you're taking essential fatty acids. And that's why some people will say, well, I use olive oil. Sorry, olive oil doesn't have any essential fatty acids in it. Or sometimes people will say, well, I use fish oil. Sorry, fish oil also doesn't have any essential fatty acids in it. They have omegas, both of them, but they're not essential. There's only two essential fatty acids. One is called LA. We talked about the names last time. That just confuses things. And the other is called ALA. LA is technically referred to as an omega-6 variety fatty acid, and ALA is an omega-3 variety, and they're the only two essential fatty acids. The word essential means you suffer a deficiency. You'll suffer from deficiency symptoms or ultimately diseases and ultimately death without that substance. So an essential vitamin is a vitamin that you have to have, or you'll suffer from symptoms and then a disease and then death, or an essential amino acid, likewise, symptoms and then diseases and then death. And then these two fatty acids, symptoms and then diseases and death without them. Fish oil doesn't have them. Olive oil doesn't have them. Omega-6 essential fatty acids are found throughout nature. They're found in great abundance, particularly in grains and seeds and nuts. And that's really where the most important source of essential fatty acids is going to be found in grains and seeds and nuts, or animals that eat the grains and seeds and nuts. The one alternative to that is algae, which also is a source of not just essential fatty acids, but everything, which is a whole nother story. And also grass, which is also a source of wonderful fats. And that's why the largest animals in the world, by the way, eat grass and algae. Whales and gorillas and elephants and such. They're eating omega foods that contain high concentrations of these quality fats, these essential fats, LA and ALA. So most importantly, the only place you're going to get ALA and LA is in specific foods. You're not going to find them in fish oil or olive oil or other kinds of oils. They're mostly found in seed oils, as well as in the case of omega-3s, I guess. Well, they're all found in seed oils largely. That's the most important source of these fats. So several things come to mind. By the way, real quickly, I should tell you, I read an article this morning, and this is a very interesting article. It was an email that I got. The headline of the email was "Innovations in Topical Treatments for Atopic Dermatitis," which is kind of an amusing headline when you think about it. Topical treatments for atopic dermatitis. Can you see a disconnect there? Atopic means not topical. So they're telling you topical treatments for not topical dermatitis. Doesn't even make sense when you think about it. This is the crazy nature of modern medicine. It doesn't make any sense. So of course it got my attention. I want to know what these new innovations in topical treatments. Atopic dermatitis is another name for eczema, or eczema is another name for atopic dermatitis. So new topical innovations in topical treatments for eczema. So what? There's no innovations. I know what eczema is. There's no innovations. It's just an inflammatory disease. You're not going to have an innovation. So what do they mean? They have different anti-inflammatory strategies now. So instead of the anti-inflammatory strategy that's just like a steroid, now they have different. The inflammation process requires lots of chemicals and molecules. And so when they attack a different molecule, they call that an innovation. It's not an innovation. It's the same stupid strategy of knocking out the inflammatory system. Well, what does that have to do with essential fats? Everything. Because essential fatty acids, and we're going to tell you about some of the wonderful things they do in the body here in a second, but they are the quintessential molecules of inflammation and anti-inflammation. They are nature's aspirin and nature's inflammatory molecules. And before we get all off on how bad inflammation is, and I know we talked about this on Friday, you can't heal without inflammation. Inflammation is the first part of the healing process. And this is why anti-inflammatory drugs are notorious for slowing down healing, because you can't heal without inflammation. So anytime you hear people say, oh, omega-6s, when they really mean, of course, now you know LA, they're pro-inflammatory and you don't want to eat them. And you sent me a video about how that's such a terrible thing. These are people who you can assume follow the dictum of a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. When you have just a little bit of knowledge and you don't really understand the whole big picture, your opinions aren't going to really be valid. You have to understand the total big picture. So inflammatory molecules are very important for the healing process. That being said, it's a balance, obviously, of inflammation and anti-inflammation. And it's the balance that's thrown off with our modern culture, because we get so much oils that contain omega-6 or LA, essential fatty acid, and not a lot that have ALA. ALA is not found in nature a lot. ALA is like a little pixie dust sprinkled upon the biochemistry of various foods, specifically seeds. LA is found in everywhere. It's impossible if you're eating like a standard American diet not to get LA or LA containing oils. Listen to what I said, LA containing oils. Just because we're eating sunflower seed oil, which contains lots of LA, safflower seed oil or soy oil or corn oil or whatever oils we're getting, most of the oils that we get are very high in LA, doesn't mean we're getting the LA, because we cook, we process, and we use chemical solvents, and we store, and we do all kinds of things to damage the very, very sensitive LA, those double bonds that we talk about. And by the way, double bonds represent a concentration of energy, which makes these things very energetic. And nutrition, when you have something that's very energetic, it's a dual-edged sword. I like to think of double bonds, by the way, as two magnets being pushed together when they don't want to go together. Do you ever push two magnets when they go together? You force them to go together and they don't want to go together, and then you let go. What happens? Boom, it explodes, or they separate out, they spring out. That's what a double bond does. It has a springing effect, which means in chemistry, in terms of the oils, they're very, very unstable. Heat will make them explode, make these double bonds explode. Oxygen makes these double bonds explode. Light makes these double bonds explode. They're very, 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 very unstable. So even though we get the oils that should contain the LA, that doesn't mean we get the LA. And that's very important, because you're not going to hear that from a lot of nutritionists. They'll say, oh my gosh, we're getting 20 to 1. Nobody really knows the ratio of 6 to 3 or of LA to ALA that we need. Some people say 2 to 1, 1 to 1, 3 to 1. Nobody really knows, but certainly it's not 20 to 1 or 25 to 1, which is what we're getting in terms of the oils. And nutritionists are very paranoid about that. A lot of them, they'll say, oh my God, we're getting 25 to 1 LA to ALA. That's way too much inflammatory to anti-inflammatory. What they're missing is we're heating the LA. So we don't really know how much LA we're getting, or ALA for that matter. So the fact that we're getting lots of oils that contain LA is misunderstood, and that fact is used to mean that we're getting too much LA. No, we're getting too much oils that contain LA, but not the LA, because we're processing. And this is something Dr. Wallach has been talking about for really since I met him, which was in the 1990s, probably even before. Is Doc on the call here today?
Let me double check.
I don't want to put words in Doc's mouth, but I'm sure,
No,
Doc has been talking about the problems with fats. And it's a huge problem. It may be, along with sugar, it's hard to say which is a bigger problem, or excess ingestion of carbohydrates or of damaged and processed fats. They may be tied. They're both really bad, but certainly there's not anything else worse that we do on a regular basis than eat fried fats, cooked fats, processed fats. Because remember, we're talking about the molecules of inflammation and anti-inflammation. Processed fats are incredibly inflammatory, super duper duper inflammatory. And the diseases that affect the fatty, the fatty system in the body, where we have a lot of fats, like the brain, like the prostate, like the female reproductive system, like the breasts. All of these are very dependent on fats. They're fatty tissues. And that means they're going to be susceptible to damage from processed fats, fried fats, cooked fats, any kind of heated or manipulated fats are going to throw off the inflammatory system in the body. And it's not just processed or cooked fats. It's also poorly processed fats in the body, such as if you have a liver problem or a gallbladder problem or an intestinal problem or a dysbiosis issue. And we know that's pretty much most of us. You're going to be secreting lots of inflammatory fats, lots of pro-inflammatory molecules in the body. So understanding the fat system in the body is just as important as understanding fats in foods. And that's why I'm always talking about the bile system and the gallbladder and the liver and the intestine. These are all the structures that are important for fat absorption. As I've said many times, there's two kinds of chemicals, water and fat, or water soluble and fat soluble, or hydrophilic and lipophilic. There's various terms for them. The hydrophilic stuff is not the problem. The water soluble stuff is not the problem. Your B vitamins are water soluble. Your vitamin C is water soluble. Most of your amino acids are water soluble. These nutrients are not the problem because they're processed quickly and they're eliminated quickly. And there's not a lot of disturbances that can happen to these molecules. The fatty stuff is not like that. Fats are sticky. They stick around. And when they're distorted, they stick around distorted. You don't flush them out like you do with the water-soluble vitamins or nutrients. So it's the fatty stuff that's the problem. And paying attention to fat intake is incredibly important, especially if you're dealing with arthritis or cancer or any other autoimmune diseases or anything that has to do with inflammation, which of course is everything. Inflammation is the calling card of the immune system, and all diseases are chronic diseases are inflammatory and immune in nature. So you can see how important fats are. Now, I'm not going to get into the different kinds of fats, and there's lots of them. Most of the phytonutrients that we talk about, the plant nutrients that are important, like resveratrol and beta carotene, and you guys have probably heard of most of these phytonutrients, ashwagandha, and a lot of the stuff that you'll see in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine under the plant derived, under the plant nutrients, adaptogens, pigments. These are all fatty. I'm not going to talk about those. There's also 4 fatty vitamins, D, E, A, and K. I'm not talking about those. I'm going to talk about and there's also a couple minerals that are handled by the fatty system. Selenium and zinc, and probably calcium to a certain extent, are all handled by the fatty system in the body. I'm not going to talk about those, as important as those are. I want to talk about the essential fats that are acidic, that are called essential fatty acids. Now, when most people think of essential fatty acids, especially after we're talking about today, you'll think about inflammation and anti-inflammation, but they're important for so much more in terms of the specific structures that they affect. Now, I'm in the skin business, and I can tell you, if you want to induce dry skin in a laboratory animal, rob it of essential fatty acids. Take out the EFAs, and the animal within 2 weeks will have dry, scaly skin. Hello, anybody out there with dry, scaly skin? We sell billions of dollars in moisturizing creams in this country, and it doesn't help because it's not a moisturizer problem. It's a fat problem, largely essential fatty acids. There's Ruth Ellen holding her ultimate EFAs. And one of the things you'll notice when you start taking your ultimate EFAs is your skin's not as dry from the inside out. Your skin is not going to be as dry. You're going to be making more moisture factors, and that's because these essential fats make, or as we say, are precursors to, or raw materials to chemicals that keep your skin moist, moisture factors, particularly something called ceramides. Essential fatty acids are extremely important for the heart and for the cardiovascular system in general. They can reduce the risks of heart disease when ingested in the right balance. And remember, the heart is especially prone towards inflammation, and heart disease is inflammatory disease. Vascular diseases are also inflammatory diseases. EFAs are also important for the brain. The brain's a fatty organ, particularly omega-3s, both, but omega-3s especially have a calming effect on the brain. I often wonder how many of our kids are dealing with ADD, ADHD issues, which are growing every year. Percentage of kids with attention deficit disorder, as they say, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, when we know EFA deficiency will cause that. Well, what are our kids going off to school with? cereals and Pop-Tarts and bread and orange juice. Where's the essential fats coming from? Send your kid off to school with some salmon or some shrimp or some seafood or some sardines, even better, and eggs. Get them those omegas before they go off to school, and they'll be able to think better and think more clearly. Of course, you want to wash it down with some Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Make sure you get your B vitamins, which are also important for brain function. Nothing plays a more important role for reducing arthritis symptoms than your ultimate EFAs. Again, especially omega-3s, but also omega-6s, which start the healing process. A lot of this has to do with the epigenetic support that essential fatty acids deliver to the cells, to the genes. I know Doc's written a lot of books. I know he just wrote one with you, Rebecca, on metabolic syndrome, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. My favorite of his books is Epigenetics, right? You got it right there. Epigenetics is it's about much more than epigenetics, by the way. It's a walkthrough through the history of medicine, not modern medicine, but history of medicine, starting with the Sumerians. I think there's even I haven't read it in a while, but I think there's some pre-Sumerian stuff in there. And then it ends up with epigenetics. Epigenetics is the science of what turns genes on and off. To this day, you still have knuckle-headed medical professionals telling us about the importance of genetics when they really should be understanding the importance of epigenetics. Genetics, you don't really have a lot of control over, but the epigenetics, you have a lot of control over. Epigenetics refers to the molecules that turns genes on and off, and essential fatty acids are epigenetic. They can turn genetics on, and this is one of the reasons why they're so important for folks who are dealing with joint issues. Of course, the anti-inflammatory effects also are important. We talk about skin health, not just dry skin, though, but also for inflammation. And so for those folks, those medical folks who are looking for innovations and treatments of atopic dermatitis, they should look no further than your Ultimate EFAs and Ultimate EFA Plus, which are almost like a treatment, almost like a cure for, I don't like the word cure, we'll say reversal, for eczema, broken skin, psoriasis, any kind of inflammatory or immune issue that's affecting the skin tissue. And also, as an aside, because of their anti-inflammatory benefits, your Ultimate EFAs will also help people have the niacin flush, which isn't exactly a skin issue, but it can affect the skin. But the anti-inflammatory benefits of omega-3s in particular are also going to benefit folks who get the niacin flush. Of course, immunity and inflammation go hand in hand. So anytime you have an immune problem, you want to think about your Ultimate EFAs. Another very important place for your essential fatty acids is in hormone production, particularly female hormones, estrogen, women with PMS, women who have hormonal health issues around menopause would benefit from your Ultimate EFAs. Ultimate EFAs can help women who are dealing with hot flashes or skin issues as they go into menopause, or even before menopause for menstrual problems. It's no coincidence that during menopause and when a woman's having her period, she's craving fatty foods. The Ultimate EFAs will address fat cravings in those conditions and fat cravings in general. In fact, if you just take a whole bunch of EFAs all at once, you'll notice that your fat cravings will go away. Just as the gel caps dissolve in your stomach, you'll start to feel like you're wanting less and less fat, which of course makes your Ultimate EFAs important for weight management issues. They also promote fat loss, and they can also improve body composition, fat composition in the body. Your Ultimate EFAs are also important for the inflammatory, for the digestive tract. The inflammation effects or inflammatory effects that distorted fats are associated with can cause leaky gut issues. Leaky gut issues can be caused by inflammatory fats. In fact, all inflammatory things can increase. Leaky gut issues it's an inflammation problem. So yes, we all love our French fries, but if you're dealing with leaky gut, that's what you want to associate your French fries with, or your pizza or any other fried fats. And then anytime, of course, as we said, anytime there's any inflammation anywhere in the body that you can see, such as after surgery, or if you sprain your ankle, or have any kind of inflammatory, macro-inflammatory symptoms, your Ultimate EFAs can help with those too. So you can see all of these wonderful things that your Ultimate EFAs, your Ultimate EFAs can do for you, and that's generically. But there's also some specific things that essential fatty acids can do in terms of drug-like effects. It turns out that EFAs actually have medicinal therapeutic effects like drugs. EFAs, it's thought, can act like natural statin drugs. They have the mechanism of statin drugs are they knock out an enzyme called HMG-R, HMG-CoA-R, actually, HMG-CoA reductase, technically. Well, it turns out that these essential fatty acids can function as natural HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, just like a statin drug does. There's another type of drug called an ACE inhibitor, Zestril or Captopril are famous drugs that inhibit an enzyme called ACE, ACE, and that has antihypertensive effects. Well, it turns out that essential fatty acids can also act like natural ACE inhibitors with no toxicity, of course, just benefits. Essential fatty acids have antiarrhythmic properties. They have antihypertensive properties. They have anti-atherosclerotic properties. Atherosclerosis is a leading cause of heart disease. And it turns out that your ultimate EFAs have anti-atherosclerotic effects. They have cell protective effects. One of the places that essential fatty acids work is on the outside part of a cell. The health of a cell depends on the outside part of a cell. The outside part, of course, is called the membrane. Distorted fats will create distorted cell membranes. If you have distorted cell membranes, nothing is going to work right in the cell. This is especially important for hormones because hormones depend on the cell membrane, the outside part of the cell. Cell membrane, by the way, is that white stuff that's inside underneath the shell of a hard-boiled egg. And that cell membrane is a major communication and information processing system. It's technically the brain of the cell. The membrane is the membrane, B-R-A-I-N-E. It's not the nucleus. A lot of people will tell you the nucleus is the brain. The nucleus is not the brain. It's the membrane that is the brain, the information processor. And the way the system works is the outside part of a cell, the membrane, is reading the environment that the cell is sitting in. And depending on whatever kind of information it gets from the environment, it's going to transmit that to the genetics, and the cell will respond. So that it's the membrane that's the bridge between the outside and the inside of a cell. And because the membrane is so rich in essential fatty acids, when you're eating the wrong essential fatty acids, you're not getting the right essential fatty acids. Your membranes are going to be are unhealthy. That means the communication from the outside to the inside is going to break down. And then ultimately cell function will break down as well. For women on hormone replacement therapy, or anybody on hormone replacement therapy, men too, you should know that if the membrane is distorted because you're eating the wrong fats, your hormone replacement therapy is not going to work. And in fact, you may be on hormone replacement therapy, not because you're having a hormone problem, but because you're having a membrane problem. So before you go on HRT, see if your ultimate EFAs help, or if you are on HRT, maybe you can take less hormones. And we know HRT is not necessarily safe and benign because you're playing with hormones. So if you get away with using EFAs, your ultimate EFAs, and use less hormones, that's going to be in your health interest. And we mentioned also already cardioprotective benefits for your ultimate EFAs as well. So you can see how many different things these essential fatty acids, these ultimate EFAs and ultimate EFA pluses do, or roles they play in the body. Yet deficiencies are incredibly common because we heat our food, we don't supplement correctly. Most people, unless they're out there supplementing, unless they're listening to this program or are hip to nutrition, are going to be deficient in EFAs and are going to ultimately suffer from the health challenges associated with EFA deficiency. And dry skin is a classic example. Your ultimate EFAs are nature's skin moisturizers. They're especially important, by the way, for the lips, which are like a super version or extreme version of the skin because they're sticking out. Now, with our products, with our ultimate EFA, let me just also say one last thing. It's not just what you take, it's what you absorb. So use your ultimate EFAs with food. Make sure, especially with a fatty meal. And if you don't have a gallbladder, don't have you have a bile problem or fatty liver or intestinal problem too, you have to make extra sure that you're supplementing with your ultimate EFAs, taking them with foods, taking them with your ultimate enzymes to make sure that you're absorbing into the bloodstream. You're absorbing these nutrients, these essential fats into the bloodstream. Now, there's a little bit of a catch with EFAs in terms of supplementing, and I wanted to talk about this last week, but I'm gonna try and pull this up here. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Oh.
Now you
yeah, so you'll be able You should be able to do a screen share.
Screen.
I just wanted to remind you, last time you mentioned sharing the difference. So is that something you're going to
Yeah,
go
I want to
into?
talk about the difference because we hear that all the time about the
Okay.
difference. So we have two versions of the EFAs, and it is a little bit confusing. Personally, I take them both. We've got our Ultimate EFA Plus. Your Ultimate EFA Plus has a big dose of omega-3 and a small, or we'll say ALA, I should use my own nomenclature here, has a big dose of ALA and a smaller dose of LA. On the other hand, the regular Ultimate EFA has a smaller dose of ALA, about 25% less, and has about the same dose of LA, a little bit less LA. But your ultimate EFAs have a very special fat in them, which is a derivative of omega-6 of LA called GLA. And GLA is very, very powerful and very, very valuable. There's some GLA in the plus also, but for whatever reason, I don't know how they came up with these names. There's a lot more GLA in the Ultimate EFA than there is in the Ultimate EFA Plus, like 5 times as much GLA, or a little bit more than 5, maybe 5 times. I think it's 19 milligrams as opposed to 4 milligrams. So the Ultimate EFA has that going for it. So it doesn't have as much LA or ALA, but it has a lot more GLA. And the Ultimate EFA also has a second form of omega-3 called EPA. EPA and DHA oil omega-3s, non-essential. They're both important. And you're going to get a lot more DHA and you're going to get EPA. So for whatever reason, the Ultimate EFA, in a way, has got more stuff in it than the Ultimate EFA Plus.
Wait, Ben.
Except for the ALA, which there's a lot more omega-3 ALA in the plus. So it's hard to say which one's better. Personally, I take both. Were you going to say something, Rebecca?
I do take both, and I know I'm going to get some emails about this. It's actually a little bit reversed on some of the numbers that you had mentioned. I know there's like lots and lots of products to try to remember everything about everything.
Yeah, there are lots. So correct me if I'm wrong. The Ultimate EFA Plus has a lot of ALA, like 450 or 440 milligrams of ALA, correct?
No, that one's 300, but the
I have them backwards.
Wait, Ultimate EFA has the 447.
Okay, I had them backwards.
And the plus, yeah.
So everything I said about the plus was really the regular, and everything I said about the regular is really the plus?
Pretty much.
Okay, I got them reversed. Are you sure?
But you got the right facts.
I got the right facts, but I got the names reversed. Well, it's already confusing enough. Now I just made a big mess of everything.
No, you did not. Now, you know what it did is it got people looking
at what's
inside.
Them. That's good. That is good.
That's it.
Sorry about that. I did get them. If I got them reversed, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that. Okay, so that's your EFA and EFA Plus. Let's see what else. Oh, always take your EFAs with vitamin E. That's vitamin E's main role in nature is to protect fats. That's why it's found. Vitamin E is found in seeds and in grains and in nuts. That's where you'll find vitamin E. And vitamin E, its role in nature is to protect fats. In the body, it protects fats around the membrane, protects fats in organs like the brain and the liver. Turns out that E is very important for anybody dealing with fat issues. And if you're dealing with fat malabsorption issues, you're going to be deficient in E. Good formulations like longevity formulations will always have vitamin E with their fats to help protect the fats. That's vitamin E's role. Also, Ultimate Selenium and your CFX and your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which also has vitamin C in it, are also going to protect fats. So if you're eating the wrong kinds of fats, or you're frying your fats, or you're like a lot of, you like your French fries or your pizza and your cooked fats, make sure you're using vitamin E, make sure you're using your Ultimate Selenium, make sure you're using your CFX, make sure you're taking your Ultimate EFA and Ultimate EFA Plus, all of which will, A, protect your fats, the fatty system in your body, and in the case of the EFAs, the supplements, they'll make it easier for you to wean yourself off, or at least to reduce your intake of the nasty, fried, cooked, processed fats that, while we all love, they're extremely, extremely damaging to cells and tissues and organs in the body. And I personally believe that our epidemic of crises of cancer crises and fat systems of the body, like the female reproductive system and the male reproductive system, as well as mental health issues or organic brain issues, has to do with deficiencies or ingestion, I should say, of the wrong kinds of fats. And then the very, very, very last thing I'll say is fats are highly good fats, essential fats, EFAs, Ultimate EFA Plus, are very anabolic. They're very building, especially for connective tissue. That is the bone and the cartilage and the fascia and many, if not all, of the signs of aging that we find so distressing, including wrinkles and heart disease and vascular diseases and ruptures and hernias and prolapses, all have to do with deterioration of connective tissue. So supplement with your Ultimate EFAs and EFA Plus is very important for women who are worried about osteoporosis or wrinkles, men too, I should say, as well as folks who are dealing with degeneration of tissue, of connective tissue inside the body, like in the fascia, for example, or in the tendons or in the joints or the ligaments. Okay, that's a lot of stuff.
Well, I would say, and that is why there is the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack, which Dr. Wallach calls the biggest hammer in the box, because it does include both the Ultimate EFA and the EFA Plus,
Nice.
and the Ultimate Selenium, in addition to the Tangy Tangerine, the Osteo Effects. So that is a great pack. Now, question is coming up from a mama who has a child that is allergic.
I should say one last thing. Thank you for reminding me. Nursing mothers, give your baby the gift of Omega, of Ultimate EFAs. All nursing mothers and pregnant mothers, for that matter, pregnant women, you'll have a smarter baby if you give them the Ultimate EFAs. Babies with better vision and hand-eye coordination if you get them on the Ultimate EFAs. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let me interrupt you.
No, that's a very good point to add. But this mom's wanting to know, what if the kids are allergic to seafood and gelatin?
Well, I hadn't heard of a gelatin allergy. I suppose it's possible. Nobody's going to be allergic to seafood. If you're allergic to seafood, that doesn't mean you're going to be allergic to the oil. Allergies happen to proteins. When we have an allergic reaction, it's, for the most part, there's some exceptions, but for the most part, it's to protein. Oil will not cause an allergic reaction. That's not to say oil will not cause a reaction, because as I said, oil is difficult for the body to process. So if you have a gallbladder problem or liver problem, you may bloat when you have oils, or you may have gas, or you may feel just uncomfortable in your digestive system. In fact, that's a diagnostic tool that you can use to see if you have a gallbladder problem. Just take 7 or 8 of your Ultimate EFAs and see if it hurts your belly, or burping up after you use your EFA. Sometimes people say they repeat on me. Have you ever heard people say that? I can taste them again. Yeah. Those are all signs that you're dealing with fat malabsorption problems, and that's something that you want to know. And so you can either just take your Ultimate enzymes to improve fat malabsorption, and it won't hurt you to do that, of course. Or if you're curious about it, you want to know, take a bunch, 7, 8 Ultimate EFAs and see what happens. If you burp, or they repeat on you, or you're nauseous, or feel uncomfortable, it could be that you're dealing with a gallbladder problem, intestinal problem, or a liver problem, and they're all very common. So those are all things you want to know. No allergies can happen, though, to oil. Gelatin, I hadn't heard of a gelatin allergy, and I find that hard to believe because it's such a simple protein, but I suppose it's possible. If that's the case, then obviously you can't use them. But it doesn't sound right to me. I'd want to talk to that person and see what the symptoms are. I've never heard of a gelatin allergy. I suppose it is possible, and you can't have an allergic reaction to the oil.
All right. And just for a little bit of clarification on the collagen part of it, none of the collagen that Youngevity offers, or the gelatin that Youngevity uses within their products, is pork or swine derived. So it is all coming from clean bovine from Argentina, I believe, that are grass-fed. And then the collagen peptides has 5 different types of collagen from different sources, but not pig or swine.
Yeah, and also gelatin allergies might have to do with the toxins in the animal, like byproducts, and it might not be to the gelatin. So it's possible, I guess, if you're, and gelatin allergy, I hadn't heard of it, but I suppose it's possible. It would be rare if it is, but things that are in the animal, they may come out in the gelatin. And that is one of the problems with all animal foods, unfortunately, is you're getting, it's hard to purify the substance. So there may be some excipients from the animal itself, not excipients in the manufacturing process, but things that came from the animal that contaminate the collagen. I suppose that's possible. And like I say, gelatin allergy, it's theoretically possible, but if it occurs, it's very, very rare.
All right. Thank you so much. So that was a lot of information, folks, to digest, but make sure that you realize how important that is. And having those added secret sauces to help with the digestion and taking your essential fatty acids with food and other fatty foods. Lots of things to think about and take serious. It's not hard to do. You just have to be intentional. Well, we have AJ with his hand up. We've got several questions coming in. AJ, what question do you have for Pharmacist Ben today?
Well, my first question is, how come you two decided to look so fancy today?
Christmas. How come you just
Yes.
decided to look like just like some thug from New York?
Oh, thanks a lot, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ouch.
So at any rate, the first question comes in. Robert's daughter is suffering a lot of migraines. She's lightheaded, inner ear equilibrium, low energy. She's 38, 5'4", and 210 pounds. What can we do for his daughter?
Well, first of all, you tell me, AJ, you're just as smart as I am. Sportus nutritionis. What's the first thing you think of? Read that off again.
Suffering migraines.
Migraines.
Lightheaded. Inner ear equilibrium. Lower energy.
What's the next thing you said after lower energy?
38, 5'4", 210.
What does that tell you?
Dysbiosis. We
got a serious metabolic problem.
Yeah.
38 is way too young. 38's a kiddles. 38 is a child, right? You remember when you were 38? Sportus nutrition.
A long time ago.
Long time ago. I know. I wish for those days again. But nonetheless, she has a major metabolic problem. She's hitting on all three cylinders of the triangle of disease. She didn't mention, interestingly, the digestive system, but I will guarantee you, is she on the call?
Not on the call. Her dad's on YouTube.
I guarantee you, 100%, not 99.9, 100%, she has got a serious, not a mild, a serious digestive problem. Her menstrual cycles are probably totally whacked out as well. Okay, she's crying out metabolic syndrome. Right, Becca? Crying metabolic syndrome.
Absolutely.
Right? So all of his metabolic syndrome, which of course starts at the digestive, it's triangle of disease. You can't approach anything. And by the way, the headaches, migraine headaches, are a classic sign of two things: problems with the female hormone estrogen and food issues, and they're related by the digestive system. So this is a woman, it would help her to track her migraines and see when during her menstrual cycle she gets them. Chances are they're right before, when a woman's estrogen tends to drop right before her menstrual cycle, and that can cause migraines, or it's spikes in the middle of the menstrual cycle that can also cause migraines. And there's foods that will do it. So she has a major food problem, major intestinal problem, and you were right on. Sportus dysbiosis is where it all starts. Get her on the I-26 as soon as possible, ASAP, as they say, a stat, as we say in pharmacy, right away. And then also the whole digestive pack, nightly essence, ultimate microbiome, ultimate enzymes, food diaries, all digestive. And I forgot to say this, but the Fucoid Z, as well as the collagen peptides, are two wonderful products for helping with leaky gut, for helping strengthen the intestinal lining. So using the Fucoid Z, as well as, and also the ultimate EFAs, which are anti-inflammatory, as well as the collagen peptides, can help strengthen the intestine. All of that, and food elimination diet, etc. Healthy blood sugar pack is a must for this woman. absolute must. She should be treating herself as if she has metabolic syndrome. She didn't say anything about her skin. I'm sure she's got skin problems. There's also PCOS is probably involved, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a subject we should probably cover, Becca,
Yes.
another sometime soon. She's probably dealing with that. The immediate problems of the migraine and the dizziness and the inner ear infections are all signs of dysbiosis, as well as adrenal involvement. Dizziness. Do you ever have this sport? Is when you're lifting weights, do you ever bend down and stand up and feel a little woozy or dizzy, or
Yeah.
do you ever, or maybe
that used to happen, yeah.
Yes, those are all signs of adrenal duress. They call that postural hypotension. And so she's probably dealing with adrenal issues, which, of course, as we know from the triangle, also leads to hypothyroidism. Again, she didn't mention those things, but that's probably where she's got her fatigue issues from. Her body is under major duress. I like talking about or explaining all these things so it doesn't sound like I'm just making assertions, so you can follow the mechanism. But really, that's a body that's under major duress. The number one duress or stressors into the body from a physical perspective are food, or the number one, I should say, is food, and things that throw off metabolism. So I would be treating her like a diabetic, focusing on the first point in the triangle of disease. And then if she wants to add a couple other things like slow breathing techniques, relaxation strategies, those can all help with the adrenal duress. And have her do a food diary also. She may also notice she feels better when she fasts, because that will cut that stream of toxicity off from getting into the blood, and also stabilize the blood sugar system, and also improve detoxification.
Okay, fantastic. There are plenty of other questions coming in, but I just had another quick one. Well, another one. A woman called in last night. She was watching Coast to Coast, and she's got a prolapse bladder.
Prolapse.
And
so I remember I talked about how as we get older, ruptures and hernias and prolapses. So here's the thing about prolapses. The inside of the body. Have you ever seen the inside of a body, a dead body, a cadaver, AJ?
Well, I've seen the body's exhibition.
Exhibition, okay. So inside the body, the liver and the gallbladder and the heart and the spleen and all the intestines, all the organs in the body, they're not just floating around. They're embedded in a matrix.
Connective tissue matrix.
Connective tissue matrix, exactly. They're embedded. And the way I like to describe it is like fruit in a Jell-O mold. Like pineapples and, honeydew and watermelon. I haven't had a Jell-O mold in a long time, but I imagine, from I remember, there's fruit and it's embedded in the Jell-O mold. And so you can think of the body like a Jell-O mold with fruit embedded in it, except the fruit is the bladder and the intestines and the female reproductive organs and all the organs. They're embedded in the connective tissue matrix, like fruit is embedded in a Jell-O mold. And in fact, what is Jell-O? It's collagen, right?
Tissue.
It's connective tissue. It's the same thing. So this analogy is exact, except for the fruit is not fruit, it's organs. So what happens as we get older, the Jell-O starts to deteriorate. This is why building connective tissue is so important. One of the reasons why building connective tissue is so important, because as we get older and our Jell-O deteriorates, it's very easy for our pineapple to drop. And that's what a prolapse is.
This is exactly how she
That's a prolapse. Your pineapple drops.
There you go.
So what you want to do is once it happens, once your pineapple's dropped, you got to have some surgery. But the trick is to keep the pineapple from dropping in the first place. And that's why building the connective tissue is so important. So once you have a prolapse, you got to pull it back up surgically. But you don't want to get to that position. And that's why for everybody out there who's not dealing with a prolapse, that should reinforce your desire and your drive to get on the healthy bone and joint pack and use the collagen peptides and anything you could do to help build the internal connective tissue.
So she's got to have surgery. She can't continue on.
Yeah, once it drops, it drops. You can't pull it back up again. There's no hoisting. You can't like hoist it back up again with nutrition. You gotta have a surgical procedure.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic.
You don't want to get to that position, people. You want to get, this is why, we talk about, I know we've said it before, but I want to say it again. We always focus on sick people. You never have a healthy person call and say, what should I be taking? They're always sick people, and that's great because this is very important for sick people. But I don't want the fact that healthy people need nutrition to be lost. And it's much easier to prevent something from happening while you're healthy. While I don't have a big health problem, but I don't want to get one.
So if she takes 30 bottles of glucogel a month, there's nothing that's gonna.
No. I forgot to mention the glucogel too, of course. The glucogel is also important for leaky gut, but yes, for building connective tissue. And anything you take, the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, for example, to build connective tissue inside the bones and the fascia and the connective tissue, is going to keep you from wrinkling. So just for anti-wrinkles, get on the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, which should be called the Healthy Bone and Joint and Skin Pack.
Just one more quick thing. She swears by her coconut oil. She's like,
she can swear by anything she wants, but that doesn't mean it does anything for her. What do you mean swear topically?
Both internally, topically, and I'm telling
internally,
her,
there's some wonderful benefits to coconut oil for sure.
Brain.
Internally, we haven't ever talked about MCTs, and MCTs are incredibly valuable. They're a special kind of fat. And coconut oil is one of it may be nature's richest source of I think it is nature's richest source of MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. When I worked, when I graduated pharmacy school, one of the first jobs I had, this horrible job, was working in the hospital in what they call PICU or neonatal ICU, which is intensive care for babies. Can you imagine this? Intensive care for neonates. Neonates are newborns. And we had intensive care for neonates and intensive care for children, pediatrics ICU and neonatal ICU. And I had to give them, I was the pharmacist, so I had to fill up the carts with medicine. And in Denver, it's a regional hub for children who are born with digestive health issues, mostly crack babies who are born from mothers who were addicted to crack. And when they get born, their livers and their gallbladders are messed up. They don't process fats correctly. And there are these babies, literally newborn babies and children who are in these horrible places. Peds ICU and neonatal ICU, obviously they're very important, but it's just tragic. And everybody's on MCTs. Why? Because MCTs allow the body to get the benefit of fat without having to process the fat. Remember, fat's hard to process. MCTs go right to work. So MCTs are super valuable for the heart and for the brain. They allow the body, and for athletes who want energy from fat but don't want to get fat. So MCTs play a lot of really important roles, and coconut oil is nature's richest source of MCTs. So for our friend who you just mentioned, who's taking coconut oil internally, it's great, especially if you're dealing with a dementia or a heart problem.
Once she heats it or it oxygenates,
no, it's very stable to heat. You don't want to heat it too much probably, but it's very, very stable to heat. It's one of the most stable. It is the most stable fat, actually. It doesn't really go rancid except over very long periods of time. It might, but it takes a while for that to happen. But topically, you're not going to get much benefit from coconut oil. In fact, you run the risk of suppressing chemistry topically, which is something that can always happen with occlusion, which is when you cover up the surface of the skin, which coconut oil will do. It'll cover up the surface of the skin. You might get a little vitamin E if it's unrefined coconut oil. There's some vitamin E in there and some MCTs, but it's really not a great oil for the skin or a great ingredient for the skin. No oil is good for the skin. It's certainly better than olive oil, though, or vegetable oil. Remember, the seed oils are the problem. Coconut oil is a very stable oil. You can tell by solidity. In nature, fats are either liquid or they're solid. Liquid fats are the problem. The solid fats like tallow and butter and coconut oil, those aren't the problem. The problem is the liquid fats. And that's what we call them unsaturated or polyunsaturated fats. Those are the problems. And those are the seed oils that we've been talking about. As far as cooking, butter, coconut oil, and ghee, and there was one other one, which I forgot that I just mentioned. Those are probably the best ones to cook with because they're solid. Tallow, lard, not tallow.
Well, just so you know, I'm saving my fancy shirt for tomorrow.
Well, you know what? You are a handsome dude, so you got that going for you. You got
Happy
that going
holidays,
for you.
man. Thank you.
You're certainly young looking. Oh my
Thank
God.
you for what you do, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, he's not saving it for Daily with Doc. What's up with that? Because we won't be live tomorrow on Daily with Doc. Just so people know, we want you to spend time with your families. If you don't have families close, reach out to them, send them, pick up the phone and call them. That would be a great thing to do.
All
Well,
right.
we do have another hand up to Pharmacist Ben. Do you have time for one more question?
Yes, I do.
All right. Nitsan, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you
Yes.
okay. Nitsan Parak. I like that. It's a cool name.
Yeah,
Nitsan
thank you.
Parak.
And thank you for being there, doctor, and everybody else. Real quick, called in, I don't know, a couple of broadcasts ago regarding a 71-year-old female. She's 5'1", been on give products for 3-4 months, but she only recently started experiencing a mild irregular the pounding of the heart and irregular heart beating, sometimes feeling like it's skipping a beat. Some products were recommended for her, but since then she's gotten her latest what is it, thyroid
I'm having a hard time, Becca, hearing. Can you hear okay?
It's broken up, but she's having experience with sometimes feeling like her heart is beating, and then her thyroid tests are coming back with reflex to the.
With what? Reflex?
It says reflex to FT4.
I don't know what that means. Look, she's 71 years old, and she's experiencing deterioration, metabolic deterioration. So I wouldn't say, I don't know what the question is exactly, but as far as the heart goes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Becca.
Oh, their THS is going up.
Okay.
So we have some
You mean her
results here.
TSH? You mean her TSH is going up? TSH, right?
TSH, yeah. So
okay.
like July was 1.46.
Yeah, she's hypothyroid. All that means she's hypothyroid, which is the third point on the triangle of disease. The thyroid regulates the heart. So she's dealing with the triangle of disease. Look, what's the number one disease smart people suffer from? And we're all smart people here. Overthinkitis. Don't overthink. Don't overthink. The triangle of disease covers everything. The fact that we go into such detail and such granularity about the supplements and about how the disease process ensues and all the little minutiae in the metabolic system and the organs and all the things we talk about, that's just so you can see that this is real. But when it comes to actually healing somebody or working with somebody, don't overthink. It's the triangle. She's 71. There's no way, unless she's was married to Jack LaLanne, she knows exactly what to do to eat. So obviously she's probably eating the standard American diet. So she's going to have digestive issues. That's going to lead to blood sugar issues. That's going to lead to adrenal thyroid issues. That's going to lead to heart issues. So skipping a beat is not unusual if you're hypothyroid and you're 71. She's got to be hypothyroid. Well, you said she's hypothyroid, which tells me there's going to be some adrenal issues, which tells me there's going to be metabolic issues, which tells me there's going to be digestive issues. And because it's a big circle, because the thyroid regulates the digestive system, it just keeps downward spiraling. How do you stop it? Digestion, first point on the triangle of disease. Metabolism, second point on the triangle of disease. Calm the body down, third point on the triangle of disease. Everything will fall into place. Focus on the triangle. And if anybody out there thinks this is simplistic, run it by your physician. Tell them what I just said, how it's all digestive, metabolic, or blood sugar, and adrenal thyroid. You see if any physician can deny what I just said. This is not rocket science. And if anybody out there is suspicious for whatever reason, do your research. This is something that is tried and true. I've been working on this for almost 40 years now, 38 years. It is a perfect model, and it simplifies the disease process and how you reverse the disease process, not cure, but reverse, send it backwards.
Absolutely. And she is on a medication for hypothyroid.
That's okay, but it's not going to really change her life. So is she on the call?
Well, so Nitsan was here on her behalf.
Okay, got it. I'd love to talk to her and just, see if I'm not right. Blood sugar issues, digestive issues, and the third point in the triangle of disease.
And then last question. Is there ever a time that someone might need to take a cholesterol lowering drug, or
No.
is it never to be used?
Well, it depends on what you want. You know, if you want to take a drug that will lower your cholesterol, yes, take a statin drug. If you want to lower your cholesterol the way you're supposed to lower your cholesterol by changing your diet, no. There's no drug. You know, I was just reading today about Ozempic. You know what Ozempic is. I was going to talk about it, right? So Ozempic, weight loss Ozempic. Oh, miraculous. People lose weight on it. Oh, it's a miraculous drug. They want me to, in my pharmacy, everybody's telling me I should be selling Ozempic because I can make all kinds of money selling Ozempic, right? I don't want to sell drugs. So Ozempic, doctors are recommending Ozempic. The head of the HHS recommends Ozempic. The government pays for Ozempic. The government funds the research on GLP-1 inhibitors. Well, now, guess what? Now it turns out the people on Ozempic are dealing with bone deterioration, bone loss, and connective tissue deterioration. Well, no kidding. You can't take a drug and be better off for it. You can change your numbers and you can change your test scores, but ultimately you're mucking around with God's metabolism. Yes, God's metabolism. God's metabolism. That's our metabolic system. It's divine. You can't just throw chemistry in there and start manipulating it. Not only is it not going to work and not only going to mess things up, it's an obscenity. It's an obscenity above and beyond an emergency when, you know, there's times when you need a pain pill and there's times when you need an antibiotic. I get that. Or you're having a hypertensive crisis, or, you know, you're going to go into convulsions, whatever. There's times for that. And praise God that we have those things. But for people to be on a medicine chronically for something like lowering your cholesterol or weight loss is blasphemy. It's a dishonoring of the divine force as it is expressed in this incredibly miraculous, complex, intricately networked web-like system that we call metabolism and the biochemistry in the body. Blasphemy. It's an insult to the divine force as far as I see. So to answer your question, no, unless you just want to lower your cholesterol numbers and you don't care about the sequelae, as we say, which are the secondary effects.
Yeah, so I don't know that anybody really wants to, you know, cause their brain to lose its ability to think and have all of these different conditions. It's just that they aren't knowledgeable.
No, they're not knowledgeable, and their doctors are not, you know, not an insult to doctors, you know, and we don't want to ever insult doctors per se, because for the most part, they're good people. And I know I say it all the time, but I have to defend my friends who are doctors and who are unfortunately sullied by conventional medicine, the pharmaco-medical model. It's not the doctors themselves, although there is a certain arrogance and chauvinism, and they should be doing some more research before they go out and tell people to get injected or tell people to go out and statin drug, and that's on them. But it's not like they're bad people. They're just not trained that way, and that's unfortunate. But you know what? It's not their fault. It's our fault. If you go to a doctor when you have a heart problem or high cholesterol, it's on you. You know, these are not things we have to wake up to the fact that we have power here. We have control over our bodies through our decisions, you know, and the things that our lifestyle choices, the choices we make just day to day. We have such power and such control. And this should be the most inspiring message to anybody who's dealing with a chronic long-term illness, especially somebody who knows they're not getting any relief, permanent relief, reversal relief from their physician or from mainstream medicine. This is the most empowering message you'll ever hear about health. And we who represent longevity, and that includes Becca and AJ and Albert and Ruth Ellen and Marilyn and everybody listening, we who represent longevity should be very proud about what we're doing, because we are saving lives, we are changing lives, and we're helping people understand how to ride or how to leverage and how to operate this incredible system called the human body, which nobody tells us about.
That's right. But we're telling you, so now there's no more excuses.
All right.
Not at all.
Well, happy holidays to everybody.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so Nitsin's put in there, this is going back to Nitsin and hypothyroid. So back in July, it was like 1.4. Now, 3 months after taking like the brain and heart pack, the TSH and being on a thyroid medicine is 5.86, which I know the recommendation is 4.5 max.
So
So
her
does that mean
TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. When
Yes.
the body, when the thyroid is not manufacturing enough thyroid hormone, it will, excuse me, hang on a sec. It will produce more TSH to stimulate more thyroid hormone. So TSH is a marker for hypothyroidism. Excuse me. So her TSH is going up. So obviously the healthy, what is she on? The healthy,
I think she's on the brain and heart pack.
Well, everybody knows the healthy brain and heart pack shuts down your thyroid. Didn't you know that? The healthy brain and heart pack will make your thyroid cause hypothyroidism. Everybody knows that. I'm kidding.
I'm like,
joke. It's a
thank
joke.
you.
So, Mr. Nitzen, clearly this woman is not being controlled because nobody is controlling the thyroid at the level of
Nutrition.
no
Cells.
no
Digestion.
without Sportis. The triangle.
Oh, the triangle.
The
Yes.
triangle. Remember the thyroid follows the adrenals and the blood sugar system and the digestive system. Nitzen, is she working on her digestion? Is she working on dysbiosis? Is she working on leaky gut? Is she working on blood sugar? Is she taking care of her metabolic issues, metabolic syndrome issues? Is she working on the adrenal glands? Probably not. So that's where you got to focus. And I think Nitzen might be new. I haven't seen him before, so he may not have heard us talk about the triangle. But if you want us to tell you about it, I'm happy to do that, Nitzen, if you give us a call. But you can always listen to Daily with Docs, where we've talked about it. The triangle of disease is the 3 points of bodily breakdown that culminate with hypothyroidism that lead to every other health challenge, including heart issues that you can name. Without working on the triangle, you cannot successfully reverse other health challenges. But alternatively or conversely, if you do work on the triangle, everything else will fall into place.
All right. I hope you heard that, Nitzen. Have to really work on the triangle of disease and everything that falls within that, and everything else will then fall into place.
Now, to the degree that you work on your triangle, if you completely correct everything, digestive health issues, which is as simple as fasting, by the way, and using your digestive supplements, I-26, metabolic syndrome, just Google metabolic syndrome and hypothyroidism. In addition to dysbiosis and hypothyroidism, and then adrenal health. Adrenals are a little tricky because they mostly involve everything else you're doing, like blood sugar issues, but also relaxation strategies can help too.
All right. And just a little more information came in. She's been on Synthroid for 50 plus years.
Oh, and it's really helping her a lot. Hello. What do you need to see, people? What do you need to see? And so what's the definition? She's going to go back to the doctor. Guess what she's going to get? More Synthroid. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Somebody's insane. Somebody's insane. Do the same thing over and over again and expecting to.
Well, let's help everybody be sane from the cellular level out, and have a very Merry Christmas, and not just a Merry Christmas, but a Happy New Year. And Pharmacist Ben, you're going to be back with us on Friday.
I am.
You are. That's what I was told.
I thought we're not doing a show on Friday, but I'm happy to do it.
Why would we not do a show on Friday? Tomorrow's Christmas.
Okay, I'm good.
That's Wednesday.
I'm good. So, twice in 1 week, my honor. I'm a lucky guy.
Excellent. We appreciate that.
Hear me again. That's an
yes,
honor.
we do.
Sometimes people will say, "Oh, I'm sorry to call you. I'm sorry to bother you," but I love doing this. And AJ, I know you're saying I'm all totally accessible and all that. I love this. This is what supercharges me. This is going to give me a good, long, healthy life. And we should all do this. The more you give, the more you receive. The system is set up that way. Last thing I'll say, I had a friend of mine who was a sales guy, and he was just an ordinary sales guy, but he said the most powerful spiritual thing to me anybody ever said. I never forgot it. He said sales is like suction. You create a vacuum. You give out, and nature comes in and fills it up. The more you give, the more you get. So give till it hurts, and you'll get filled beyond your wildest dream. You'll get filled with abundance beyond your wildest dreams.
Well, that explains a lot. So thank you so much for that insight.
Thank you.
As we do, we're here because we want to help others. We want to give of ourselves, our time, so that we can help others be able to gain more time with their loved ones in life through having better health. So if I could have our co-hosts come up on the screen with us, it is our honor and privilege to be able to be here with you, providing this resource, as we are a resource for an amazing community of health advocates, health coaches, just individuals who care about people and want to help them find a better health journey. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. We do have a team for those who are not working with somebody, not referred by anybody. You can call us at 855-949-3377. Again, that's 855-949-3377. And one of our certified holistic health coaches who has been trained in Dr. Wallach's philosophy and using his solutions, and in Pharmacist Ben's philosophy, where they all come together to create a very nice cohesiveness within the body using the longevity products as a solution. So folks, it's that time of year to make decisions. We're coming up on the end of 2024. What are you going to do that's going to make a difference in 2025 for yourself, your family, and your community? Well, if you want a purpose, you can join us here with our team or the person that shared this program with you and say, hey, how can I be part of the solution? And join us as we are sharing the message of hope around the world when it comes to health and wellness. Thank you so much, Pharmacist Ben, for being here with us.
Thank you, everybody. AJ, Becca, Albert, Rod. Good to see you, Rod.
We greatly appreciate you. And I also appreciate my co-hosts, because I couldn't do this as easily or seamlessly as we do it, even with technical difficulties. We have Rod, who's out watching the different platforms, helping to bring questions in and watching what's going on inside of the Zoom room as well. Thank you, Rod. We have Marilyn, who is doing dictation and putting stuff into the chat. And I just got they put this note in here for me. It says, Rebecca, the Boss Dukes, Ruth Ellen, Little Sleep Sanchez, AJ, Technoman Joseph, Marilyn, Super Speed Fingers Pizzera Spear, Albert, the Warden Lindertz, and Rod, the Motivator Wiggins. So, as that works, that works. Get us through. But folks, we couldn't do it as individuals. That's why it does make life easier when we're working together as a community and a team. This program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. So if you want to see any of our previous programming, you can find some there. We are on all the different platforms. If you're out there watching, send us a hello, comment, let us know your questions and what you learned most or appreciated most about today's episode, and share it with somebody else. Again, my name is Becca Dukes, Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health, the producer of this program, and also a person that just loves to help people. Have a great day, and we'll see you Thursday. Well, Thursday with Dr. Wallach, Friday back here with Pharmacist Ben.
Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.